Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. In the United States, yesterday afternoon at about 5:45 p.m., news was released that President Trump had fired FBI Director James Comey. The ostensible reason for firing Comey was because the FBI director had treated Hillary Clinton unfairly when she was a presidential candidate running against Trump. The real reason, as anybody in the United States is well aware, is that the investigation that the FBI is conducting of Trump and his associates and possible Russian influences upon them during the election campaign and after being elected is now beginning to gather steam. Subpoenas have been issued by a grand jury to associates of disgraced General Michael Flynn, who had to be fired by Trump because of lying to the vice president and the press about his connections with the Russians. We'll see what happens, but Republicans now on Capitol Hill are joining the chorus of cries from Democrats calling for a special prosecutor to investigate the Russian involvement with Trump. Quarterly profit at Hannover Re's property and casualty reinsurance division beat analyst expectations by about 3.5%, up to about 310 euros year on year. Hannover Re is the third largest reinsurer in the world. The improved investment result of some 13%, actually, of 3.1%, I should say, which was 13% higher than last year, helped to offset the impact of higher losses during the first quarter. The largest single loss, of course, was Cyclone Debbie, which resulted in a 50 million euro hit. The carrier was also impacted by the UK government's decision to change the way it calculates the discount rate for personal injury claim payouts, known as the Ogden rate. That caused Hannover Re to book another 126 million euros in additional claim reserves. The overall group operating profit of about $400 million was down 1.7% compared to the first quarter of last year, but it beat analysts' expectations. London-listed Lloyds Syndicate No Bay has told investors it is unlikely to end the financial year with a combined ratio below 100%, and that it has withdrawn from 4 casualty lines. In a trading report this morning, CEO Matthew Frosch said that he believes combined ratios of more than 100% are going to become commonplace in the future. They exited motor and general liability reinsurance, financial institutions, professional indemnity, and general liability. Oddly enough, the company's gross written premiums increased by about $355 million pounds in the first quarter, an increase of over 25%. Much of this came from U.S. casualty and excess business. Toyota, the big Japanese car maker, forecast operating profit for the current year to dip by 20%. This is because of a slowing U.S. market and the lingering impact of a stronger Japanese yen. The financial setback would pose a challenge. The company saw a decrease last year of 30% insofar as a dip in profits. And according to the Toyota president, Akio Toyoda, in the sporting world, 2 years of falling profit would be considered a losing streak, and I hate losing. The company has announced a significant cost reduction effort, as well as a goal of selling larger vehicles, which presumably have a higher price tag and a bigger margin. Yesterday at the Hanford nuclear waste site in Washington State, which had been one of the U.S. Plutonium factories during the Cold War, an incident occurred, which is now in the recovery phase. It is no longer critical. Apparently a section of a tunnel used to house contaminated radioactive materials was breached earlier in the day. The entire facility went into a lockdown at about 8:30 a.m. yesterday morning after an inspection revealed that soil had collapsed over a portion of a 20-foot long section of a tunnel, which was storing rail cars loaded with contaminated nuclear waste. Apparently the incident, which caused the entire facility to be held in place, even non-essential workers, has now been declared over. The governor of Washington, Jay Inslee, called the breach a serious situation and has been in contact with Washington and the Department of Energy, which operates the site. Chinese President Xi Jinping has vowed to protect the landmark Paris Climate Change Agreement, which of course aims to curb climate change and fossil fuel emissions. He made the promise in a phone call with incoming French President Emmanuel Macron. Of course, in the United States, Donald Trump is still deciding whether or not to withdraw from the agreement. Climate experts worry that if in fact the U.S. does withdraw, it'll throw the agreement into chaos. A White House meeting to discuss the topic yesterday has been postponed. This is the second time the meeting has been canceled. No new date has been given. Apparently, the result of the meeting is aimed at getting Trump to decide which way he is going to lean. There's a disagreement in the White House right now. Strategist Steve Bannon and Environmental Protection Head Scott Pruitt are on record as calling for an exit from the Paris Agreement. Others, like Energy Secretary Rick Perry, has been non-committal. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has said the United States should remain in the agreement. Trump's daughter Ivanka and his son-in-law Jared Kushner are also favoring remaining in the agreement. That works out to about 3-3. No word yet on how Trump's 11-year-old son Barron feels about the agreement, since he apparently has the deciding vote. That's the news for today. If there's any more breaking news from Washington on what is fast becoming a very serious situation for the Trump White House, we will come back and tell you. Thank you for watching.